What's going on, Seawolves? You're watching USG Hot Takes. I'm your host, A.T. Bianco. And today we have a very, very, very special guest, the William DeLisi. He is the president of SBU TV, which is the only video production club on campus.
That's correct.
So that's one to mention. He's the head honcho of that. And he is, most importantly, is the man behind the scenes here at Hot Takes. You do everything here and is an absolute talent, pleasure, and treasure to work with. Will DeLisi.
Why, thank you.
What's happening, my man?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well.
I'm behind the wings now.
What's it like? What does it feel like?
It's intimidating. I've seen this tear down many a strong man, so I know that I'm in for some hell right now.
So how are you usually with hot foods?
I mean, I've tried Mad Dog before, so I know this is on a whole other level that I'm not prepared for. But like these two, like I comfortably put this on my food all the time. Like we have some extra sauces lying around, and I use them quite often for my.
So for our viewers at home, Will actually puts the ghost pepper blueberry sauce on his cheeseburgers.
This is good.
All right, so you ready to get into it?
Let's go.
There's napkins here. Our wings are provided by the Culinart Group. So thank you for providing us with our chicken. We'll get right into it.
Okay.
What year are you, and tell us about your unique career so far here at SBU.
So I'm a senior, and I'm an English major by day. But on the side, I'm also a freelance filmmaker. So
you say the side. Stop being humble.
On the side. At this point now, it's like the thing I focus on. I've sort of started my own little business, and I work closely with a good friend of mine, Sebastian, who we were sort of working together. And
shout out Sabe Saga.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And you know, like this year I've been focusing a lot on my business. I've been getting into wedding filmmaking. I do things like I've shot real estate. My friend Sebastian does that a lot, and he brings me along on that. I've done work for like nonprofits. I do sports. So over the summer I shot highlight videos for the New York Cosmos, their soccer team.
Wow, that's just a testament to all your hard work that you've put in outside the classroom and all the connections that you've made.
Well, I think like the tough thing about being at Stony Brook and trying to do this is that when you go to like a film school or you go to a school that has a media and communications degree, there's sort of a network that you're easily put in touch with, whether that's your professors or the resources on campus. Coming here, you don't really get access to that kind of network. And so I came here, and there was like a number of things I wanted to do. And English was something I was always good at. I've always been a creative person, always been into the arts. So I decided to take English, and for a while there, I was pretty gung-ho about it. I was considering the honors program. Like I had a professor sponsor me. I became a writing tutor, and I was doing that. So I was like going for it. There's always like this pressure, this pessimism surrounding pursuing a career in the creative industries, that it's not something that is feasible, it's not something that makes money, and it's easy to sort of like just in your mind rule that out. You talked about networking, going back to the question. Sophomore year I met that person I mentioned, Sebastian. He was in school for business. Like he didn't have a technical education, he didn't have a degree in it, and he was out there actually doing it. And when I saw that, I think that was like the boost that really said like, oh, like this is actually possible. Like here's this person doing, like why can't I do it? When you're in a school that doesn't have a network there for you, it kind of, in a weird way, it propels you to
find it yourself. And I think it lit a fire under me. You know what I mean? Because you come to realize like, wait, I can't rely on college to like. I think that's a trap people fall under, is relying on college to hand them the job, hand them the degree. You have to take initiative and look elsewhere. If you're passionate about it and you put in good work, other people see that and they'll refer you and things like that, and it sort of starts snowballing is what I've found. But I guess it does start with actually genuinely being passionate about what you do, 100%.
And good things just happen, I guess, if you have your heart in it,
If that sounds good. That's not, no, but like in all seriousness, that
answer is like that question just in itself is kind of hard to answer because it's so broad.
Yeah.
But the way you just answered it was.
I hope that was good.
Yeah, no, that was a very good answer. Are you ready to get to
Yeah.
the second one?
Yeah.
All right. So the second sauce is your favorite.
My favorite?
The ghost pepper blueberry. Here we go. Cheers. So when you came to SBU, you're the English major.
Right.
President of SBU TV, sophomore year. How did Hot Takes come to life?
So someone in my e-board at SBU TV, and also someone that I went to high school with, Ian, was part of USG. He came to me like, hey, like, USG could use your help, like, in terms of, like, video work and things like that. So he got me on board with USG. He had this idea for a show. It's literally, I mean, the whole thing's a ripoff of Hot Ones, you know?
Yeah, like, and we always say that, too.
Yeah.
It's like, because we want to give credit to where credit's due. Like, we thought that this was a solid idea.
And it's a solid idea, you know? The best thing I think about the show is that you have these professors whom students might only know from their classes, or, you know, will never think, you know, like Jarvis, for example, like seeing those concert tickets, reminiscing about his youth and about hip hop and things like that. There's an air of like light levity to it, as with the wings, and
Right.
I think that levity helps guests sort of like take themselves down a notch, take themselves less seriously, and be more open and engage in a fun conversation. Like, these are like genuine people, you know, and they, you know, it sounds like it's obvious, you know, but like, you know, like sometimes it just needs to be shown, you know.
Right.
But also, I think there's a lot there that students can learn from seeing other students talk about their experience at Stony Brook. I think there's a lot of relatable content in our show. Like, that's sort of the things we look for, right, when we're picking a guest. Sometimes it's just like, we need a guest, you know, like.
Right.
I mean, you were a big part of it too, Conor.
Well, I mean, this episode is all about you, my man.
Oh yeah, so like he came to me about the show and he was like, I need you to film it. I was like, this is cool, because at the time, like, I was just really like deep and learning and YouTube and all this stuff and buying gear and, like, you know, researching and stuff like that and testing things out, making my own videos and like making bad stuff, but like, you know, learning from it. So like, I thought this was a great opportunity to, because I liked looking at the show and the way they had it lit with like the pure black background, and like, this would be an interesting thing to try to copy and I could learn from it. So I was excited about that.
Talk about the studio's role in providing, you know, a place for, you know, hot takes to happen.
If you don't know, which a lot of people don't, unfortunately, there's a legitimate like video studio here on campus. It might not be the most up-to-date thing in the world, but like, it's here, you know, and there's a great space here.
And we're here in
we film in the ECC building on the first floor.
And it's behind Javits,
Studio
if you
A.
don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know where that is. It's always like weird to explain like where they have to go.
Yeah.
Because most people don't know this exists. But I've actually known it exists since freshman year. I've worked here as a student assistant. So Deanie, the woman now who runs the studio, who's an incredible resource on campus that I don't think also a lot of people know about.
She's a hidden gem.
She believes in students, probably more so than I think anyone else that I've met on campus. And she 100% gave us total control over the show, let us use the space, let us use any resources, you know, very, very, very supportive. Opened up the studio for us. Really, this is the first student show that is done in the studio. The first time a totally student-run thing has been done.
And that's really something that she lives by.
Yeah.
She's a genuine, down-to-earth person who wants to see students succeed and wants to help them as well. All right, so the next sauce is pain is good. So, Clink Wings, cheers. What do you think of the sauces so far?
So far so good. I know it's not coming though.
It is the next
I know
one.
it's coming. This wasn't that bad. This wasn't. I mean, like.
Yeah, make sure you save your milk.
I haven't touched it.
All right,
I
cool.
believe me. I've been studying your performances. I know what to do.
All right, so we'll get right to it then. Run us through the usual creative process of lighting, filming, editing, each episode, and talk about like some of your favorite edits that you've done for favorite episodes.
So, I mean, the creative process is, honestly, it's not that creative. It's literally ripping off how they do it on Hot Ones for the most part. Like, even from our introduction, the B-roll sequence we have with like the close-ups of the sauces and the wings and like, and the music, you know, it's all sort of like meant to, even our logo, you know, is sort of like trying to mimic the look and feel of Hot Ones, but like not totally copy it, but like be close enough where you can clearly tell the influences. The set we have here, we have to set it up every time we shoot, so it doesn't just stay here. A lot of this gear is both my gear, my own personal gear, and the gear that belongs to SBU TV. SBU TV, it's the only video production club on campus. So we're relatively newly funded, but every year we're buying new gear, and like we're steadily amassing a pretty good set of equipment to work on productions like this. But every time we come in here, we have to pack everything, bring it from the SAC to the ECC building, setting up this whole set, which is very tiring. It takes like about like an hour or so, and then the shoots are about like 30 minutes usually.
Sometimes we sit down for an hour.
Sometimes it's an hour, yeah, like this one might be shaping up to be. So the editing process, right?
That's a very, very important part of this.
Yeah. I mean, in order for it to be entertaining, you know, things have to be cut out often. Sometimes, because I'm a full-time student and all these things, sometimes I don't really have the time to like cut them down properly, but some episodes where I've really put in the time like are sort of meticulously cut down and things are removed in order to so that the information flows more clearly, you know, and also just adding in like things, just this entertaining things like they do it on Hot Ones too, like the reactions and like the little effects that like enhance
the ear ringing,
but
the bass.
You know, anything to like put the viewer, give them because like what the guest is experiencing, like obviously the viewer can't experience, they only can tell from like looking at their faces, and a lot of times like just sort of enhancing that or adding little things that might help and put the viewer in their shoes or something helps sell the sauces more, because it is very painful. A lot of times people try to like, you know, like put on a straight face and cover it up, but this is murder right here.
So speaking of straight faces, we got a pretty high profile guest as our third episode last year. And we had President Stanley on. What was that like, editing that episode?
That was fun, because like that was a fun one for me because I knew this was an important one, and I spent probably easily the most time on that one. I spent about a week on it. And there's also a lot of things because President Stanley, being the president of the university, he has a whole marketing team behind him that wants to make sure he's portrayed in a positive light and fits his public image. So I sort of had to be careful in terms of the editing during some things, like not trying to make fun of him too much.
Because I mean, we could talk about it here. Yeah. Like, there's the stuff that happens during an interview, like, you know, him specifically. We're eating the wings, we're talking, and there's, you know, snot rolling down his nose, and not just him, but each guest. So it's like, how do we respectfully kind of meme the guest, and you know what I mean, without you know, being too mean. Right.
It's all in good fun. But Stanley was very interesting when he came in, though, because we went really hard, right? Ian at the time, was put extra on Stanley's wings because we wanted a reaction.
We were
wanted that
very,
reaction.
Very generous with the sauce.
Generous is the wrong word. But like, you can't stop the physical reactions from happening. You can't stop the snot. You can't stop the tears, the face getting red. But what he would do is, and I remember when he did it for DeBomb, he would take a bite, you know, put it down, just silence, you know, like as if he was like processing it inside, and he'd start drinking the milk. There'd be there was an extended silence where he'd just be drinking milk, not saying anything, not being like, oh my God, there was not any visible reaction on his face.
You know, there was kind of a little bit of like an awkward exchange, so I picked up my glass and started drinking. You're
just like, should I just mirror him?
And that created this whole meme of the episode. So talk about how that came in post-production.
Well, like Stanley didn't give me enough of a reaction to satisfy me, like the way he kept his composure. So I sort of enhanced and extended the the length of the awkwardness, you know, make it seem more awkward than it was kind of awkward, but like just enhance that, like take what's there and expand on it. One of those reactions became like blew up on like Reddit, and it became like a meme template that was like propagated around campus for various things. I remember in the humanities building one day seeing, you know, because of the budget cuts at the time, seeing like a protest poster in the middle of the humanities with that image of Stanley drinking the milk. I think
that is hysterical.
Yeah.
And another thing to mention, you know, these little segments that we add, you know, they're not just, you know, me coming up with an idea and doing it. I want, you know, the viewers at home to know that it's a collaborative effort making the show, even if you're not the one interviewing. You tell me when I'm not doing something right, or if something's not working. I think that's what makes this collaborative effort so efficient, is because, you know, it's good to work with someone that understands it on the level that you understand it and is just as passionate.
Yeah, I care about the show, and I want to make sure that like we're making something that is going to reach the demographic, college kids. You know, we're doing it for one specific demographic, not only college kids but Stony Brook kids. You know,
right.
And something that we'd want to watch, or something that they'd want to watch too. You know.
So, are
drum
roll please. Are you ready?
No, but let's go.
Are you ready for Devon?
Let's go.
You've tried every other sauce.
I've tried every one. I've shied away from this because I've seen what it does to people, and I don't like it.
It breaks many a man down.
Oh shit! Oh,
yeah.
There we go. I'm in it now.
That's just gross.
It's disgusting. Oh.
Good, I'm good.
I'll take that.
All right, so we're gonna jump right into it here. You're an avid music listener. What are your favorite artists or genres to listen to?
I know this answer is... Oh, shit, dude. Music. I love music. It's really important to me. I'm the kind of person that can just sit for hours just listening to music and not...
Same.
Like sometimes, like, that's
I thought I was the only one.
And I'm always finding new things. I listen to a lot. Like right now, I've sort of been listening to a lot of the Smiths. I've got my shirt here. That's a British post-punk group from the 80s. I think they're absolutely incredible. So the Smiths, The Cure, a lot of these British new wave bands I've been listening to right now. Stone Roses, Oasis, Blur, Radiohead, a lot of British rock bands. Beatles are like my favorite group of all time.
What about them? Like, what era of the Beatles are you the mostly a fan of?
I always would say my favorite album is Revolver, which came out '66. But I mean, I think it's their work post touring, when they got into the studio, and a lot of their experimental stuff, when Abbey Road, the White Album,
Sgt.
Pepper. My favorite song is probably Something, which is George Harrison. I think George Harrison is incredible. I think he wrote some of the best songs for the Beatles, and his solo career is by far the best solo career. McCartney, I saw him live a few years ago. Yeah,
Where?
At Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden. Oh no, Barclays, yeah. Or I forget. Probably one of those.
Somewhere in New York.
Somewhere in, and his voice is gone, absolutely gone. Cannot sing, unfortunately, but it's like I didn't really care, because I didn't go to like hear him.
You
hear him sing.
See him.
I came to listen to him. Like I would have much rather had him stand up there and lecture me than sing, because like this is an absolute legend. I love folk music. I love Dylan. I love Neil Young. I'm a big Neil Young fan.
Stony Brook brought Bob Dylan.
Stony Brook had Dylan. That's crazy.
In the 90s. Actually.
Really?
Yep, in the 90s.
So interesting. I didn't know that. But I listen to all sorts of genres. I'd probably say I'm a
rock music is my number one genre, and all its subgenres too, like alternative rock. I love punk music as well. I love early punk from the 70s, like The Clash, The Ramones, pop punk. You know, Green Day is one of my favorite bands.
Are you ready to take on the last sauce?
Oh,
is your mouth?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Because mine was. I had a rough time with that.
Really?
One.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
rough.
I might have. I mean, it was bad, but I might have eaten the less saucy side. Maybe.
All right, so you cheated a little bit.
I might have.
That's
cheated
all right.
a little bit. Unintentionally.
I forgive you. All right. Cheers, my friend. This is Mad Dog 357.
Here we go.
This one kind of just like puts a whole like numbing effect. Ooh. And it really hurts going down too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like
going down your throat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what it's like.
So this is what it's
To
like.
go through the gauntlet. Filming something last week. I was at a gig in the city, and I had an allergic reaction because I'm allergic to tree nuts. I lasted the whole shoot. I finished it up in an hour. It was an hour, and then it was so strange. The second I finished the shoot, and I went to the bathroom and I vomited. Like then everything started to kick in. Like it waited till my body waited till I was done, and then everything started to hit me. And I went to the hospital, and well, not the hospital, but the urgent care. And I was fine after that.
You're the epitome of being self-sufficient in terms of production, and we've talked about it. What advice would you give to students with a creative idea that wants to get into creative services? How would you tell them to follow through with it?
It all starts with the passion, because if you're passionate about something, you're willing to spend your free time to do it. It's not something you force yourself to do. It just comes naturally because you genuinely want to do it. Start doing your own research. Reach out to people. Like DeLisi is an incredible resource on campus. Find people who it can't be a solo thing. You need to find people who share your vision. When I started doing this and I bought all that gear, it was about like a year of just almost monomaniacal like focus on something. I guess here's I think the core takeaway is like you have to just jump in and you have to just do it, and don't be afraid of failure, because the thing about college is you're not in the real world yet. You know what I mean? Like you have the time to fail, and now's the time to fail. Like if there's ever a time to like fail, it's in college.
Right.
Well, that sounds funny. I'm not talking about grades, right? Don't be failing your tests.
Not great. Do well in school.
I think a lot of times people might be a perfectionist and they might really want to iron out the details before they do it, and they end up not doing it. They end up leaving a project half finished. Watch it at the end and see where things went wrong, and the next time you'll do a better job. Just be persistent, keep up, and be determined. And I mean it is cliche, but like you really can't be afraid of failure. And I think at our time in our lives where we're young, we're allowed to fail, and it's healthy to fail. We're still learning. We're still naive and young people.
Right. Will, I want to thank you for coming on today and taking on the Hot Takes Gauntlet. So I want to thank you personally, shake your hand from across the table, for all the hard work and dedication. It's been like a real pleasure working with you.
It's been fun.
And it's been a lot of fun, and I hope that we can continue working together even post-college as well. So this is our guest, the William DeLisi, here on USG Hot Takes, the director of everything behind the camera, from sound, filming, photography.
Freelancer,
the head editor.
Instagram, will.delisi.
Special thanks to Colin Art for providing us with our wings throughout this entire show, and special thanks to Deanie Zimmerman here at the ECC studio. Thank you for watching, Seawolves. You're watching USG Hot Takes, the hottest show on campus.